Welcome in. It is day 156, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today we're diving into a game that's not one of my favorites. It's a game that I usually play once a year at most with friends, and I understand why it's popular, but for me, it's kind of fallen out of that grace for quite a while. That being said, it's one I think everybody wants to talk about. That game is Cards Against Humanity. So for anybody who's heard of this game before, the concept is essentially this was the adult version of Apples to Apples. It is just lots of different cards with usually inappropriate, or it's at least inappropriate on a lot of the cards, and a lot of the other cards are just celebrity names or locations, stuff like that. So you can mix it in and make inappropriate statements. You go around, somebody draws a card and says, okay, this is the card, here's the, what we're asking for a question. Everybody else makes combos or an answer with one card, sometimes two cards, sometimes three cards. You stack it all together, you make it mixed, make sure that you're keeping the stacks together if there's three in a row, and then you mix them up and then you read them out. Everybody has their laughs, you enjoy it. It's for the most part meant for groups that are really close and are okay with inappropriateness, not only something that may be disgusting or sexual in nature, but also for those that are going to be offensive. I know that when I get together with my friends who love this game, it's a very offensive night, but it's a group of people that we're okay with that because we know what the game entails and we've been friends for many years and we can handle that. This is not a game I would recommend pulling out of a board game store or in public place because while you and your friends may not find something offensive, or you're saying it as just a joke, you don't want to say something that's going to be inappropriate in the wrong spot, have somebody who doesn't know you hear something and think something and be offended. You have to be careful with this game. This is really a house game. But that being said, it is one that's been really popular for a long time, and people just really enjoy it. Well, I'm going to jump into our 7 categories. They might be a little longer with each category. I'm going to try to give a little bit more explanation as I go through and just show you what I think of this game. When it comes to the art, it's a massive thumbs down. The box, and it's meant to be this way, it's just a black box with white lettering. That's it. It's nothing special. Now, the game doesn't need more than that. It's sold so much, it's obviously successful. But for me, the cards, the box, there's nothing there that sells the game for me. It's the game itself that sells it. So it's again, thumbs down there. Your components. All you have for components are cards, and the cards are meant to last, and you have so many that it's going to take a while even for good cards to be outshuffled and ruined. So it's a thumbs up there. Your price. Now, this is where the game gets interesting because this is why I don't like the game. I feel that you sit down, you play the game, and when you've finished it once, your jokes are done. So now if I go and try to play this game again a week later, a month later, it's the same jokes. It's not as funny to me anymore. And you can only say, stuff for that immediate disgusting or offensive hit to be funny so many times before it's just kind of like, all right, yeah, that was great. So in order for this game to be good, you have to buy more and more and more expansions. And I'm going to bring the expansions in for this conversation. This itself is an expansion, is not the base game. And the reason I bring that in is because the only way for this game to be worthwhile is if you're willing to keep spending and keep adding, which means that this game is not a game that you're going to get for $30 or $40. It's a game that in the long run is going to cost you hundreds. It's way too much money. It's available everywhere, but it's a bad thumbs down. It's too much expectation price-wise. Your difficulty. So this is definitely not for kids. Take them out. Beginners, perfectly fine for, because there's no game to really learn here. It's very simple. But I think that your expert and your experienced players for board games are going to also shy away from this. This isn't really meant for gamers. It's meant for those social games. It's meant for a very specific location of social game. For me, the difficulty is it's not a difficult game, and it's a little bit too narrow of an area of where it's accepted. It's got to be a thumbs down. your replayability. So again, this is up to how much you're willing to spend on it. For me, I'm not replaying this game more than once a year, and it's only because if friends host that once a year, we usually would do a Christmas exchange around New Year's, and when we would, they'd want to play this after we did the exchange. I would say sure. It's not my game, but okay, I'll play it on that one night a year because I'm only playing it once a year. But I honestly don't think there's a lot of replayability here, and I think for those of you who've played it, yeah, maybe you played it a bunch for like a year, and then eventually got to that point you were like, yeah, it sits on my shelf. So it's a thumbs down there. Your keys to victory. There aren't any. It's very annoying because the concept of the game is to win the game is to either A, know your friends well. I have a friend, there's a robot card in here, and I have a friend who thinks it's hilarious. So whenever somebody plays the robot card, the likelihood is they're going to win if it's his turn to pick. And then it's up to like, what are you looking for? You give an answer, and yours might be hilarious, but somebody else's is slightly funnier, or has that card that somebody loves, or is it's up to knowing people's taste and also the cards that you have available to you, and it's kind of hard to hit for that. I don't think the keys to victory are very good, so it's a thumbs down there. Is the game unique? No. We've already seen Apples to Apples. Apples to Apples is this game. It's just a PG version of this game. So it is a big thumbs down there. Overall, what do I think of this game? I think that this game is one that you have to be careful around. It is not one I'd want my daughter getting her eyes on at too young an age, because I think it makes things that are inappropriate seem acceptable. I'm not the type of parent that's going to get mad if my kid starts to swear. If my kid is interested in what is around the sexual side or disgusting stuff or offensive stuff, I'm not going to get upset if they have questions. That being said, as a parent, I wouldn't want to introduce my kid too early to these concepts before they're old enough to truly understand them. When all of a sudden maybe they start to use a word, not understanding the power of that word, and all of a sudden they start to become an offensive person who doesn't feel for somebody else. So I would never allow it around my kids, and I definitely wouldn't play this with my family. Some people are okay with that. Some families are closer, and that's fine if you are. For me, I would feel very uncomfortable doing that around my family. So it's really only for friends. And even then, my board game group, I don't think I would play this with. Not because I don't think that they could handle a joke, but because we've never really played around in that area. This is a game I play with my poker friends, because when we play poker games, it's you're a little bit more like unlocked on just you know poking the bear, making fun of each other, knowing that the people at that table can handle a joke and that they know it's a joke. And even if you've been friends with somebody for years and years, decades maybe, you may not know if they can truly handle a joke. You have to have the right group to be that way with, and I just don't feel this is going to fit for most people. For me, it's a game that's off limits. I don't play it. My wife had a copy. That's the reason it's in our house. And she loves the game with her family. They all love it because, they're okay with that stuff. They're 100% fine with it. But I know my family would never run. So I don't recommend this. It's not a game I think is worthwhile to spend your money on or your time on or put on your game shelf. But that's just me. If it hits for you, if it hits for your friends, for your family, that's great. It's about finding what's the right balance. And if this is something that you find funny a lot, that you know that your family and friends are going to enjoy, that's great. Go enjoy it. Nothing wrong with that. Well, it has been day 156, and we've been speaking about the game Cards Against Humanity. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.